Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And welcome to the first thing that I've posted on this channel since the spring, I think. Yeah, it's been a very, very long time, and I owe all of my viewers an apology for that. Things have been very, very busy my way. In combination with a new job with much longer hours, I've also managed to reach the point where I am about to get married in a week and a half, actually. A week today, I am going to be departing on an airplane for Las Vegas. And yeah, we're gonna have ourselves a little party. So between working a new job and planning for the wedding, and well, I was actually quite busy over the summer with my band. Um, there's just been an awful lot going on, and unfortunately, I have not been able to keep my YouTube account going as regularly as I should. So for that, I owe an apology. I mean, I'm sorry, but at the same time, it's also, if I've got other things in my life, and as much as as much as I enjoy creating these videos, and I absolutely adore the support that I've gotten, and it really makes me feel good when I see some of the comments, even the nasty ones, because it means that they want to see more. But unfortunately, it's not at the very, very top of my priority list. So nothing against you guys. Hey, Heel Stephen Magel. That's an interesting name. Thank you for acknowledging my being alive. How are you doing? I'm just here, just chatting about my absence over the last few months, and I can chat about some other things too. We'll see if we can get some more viewers in on this. We have 2 viewers, which is, well, a viewer per minute. That's not bad, all things considered. Once again, I do want to apologize to my viewers for the lack of content up here. As I was saying, I am quite busy these days now. Probably gonna snow soon. Yeah, that's true. It's been cold lately. It's the other facet of my new job requires me to be outside a lot, which during the summertime was all well and good, but the last few days here in just outside of Toronto, Ontario, it's getting quite cold. Oh, greetings from Ukraine. Thank you very much. Hello, how are you doing? Welcome to the live chat. Hopefully everyone here is doing well. My 3 viewers, that's better than I expected. So yeah, no, even when I got back into recording the chats, I got about halfway through the entire Peter Hamill collection, and I was doing it a little bit differently. Well, in addition to having a different camera setup, which had a few glitches, we had some access noise going on. And I was having trouble because I can only fit, I think it was like 20 minutes per review, and I was chatting about 3 or 4 albums just to try and break up the Peter Hamill chats, because obviously Hamill has made an awful lot of albums over the years. And so I was trying to break it up to make it a little bit easier on myself, and I made it up to the K group, but maybe about 10 videos down the road, I should be able to finish it. Now, I'm not going to make any promises that you're going to see the rest of the Peter Hamill videos this year. Hopefully, around Christmas time, I'll have some time to do some filming and some research and blah, 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 blah. So that'll be good, and hopefully I'll get the rest of those Hamill videos up, and at least it'll be a complete playlist at that point. How are my musical activities doing? They're doing quite good. They're also kind of on hold as well. As I said, one of the things that was keeping me so busy over the summer was gigging pretty well every weekend with a great cover band. We called ourselves Civil. We played everything from Elvis up to Pink. Not a huge amount of prog stuff, but we were playing quite a lot of gigs, and I actually quit that band about a month ago just because it was getting too crazy with the wedding coming up, and with there being a desire for me to play more proggy stuff, I decided to open myself up a little bit more. So musical activities are good, still getting lots of practice in. You can see over here I've got my electronic drum set, which I practice on the inside. I've got another drum set outside in the garage, but that's my big project next year, is to winterize the garage and turn it into a studio. So yeah, there's just lots on the go. Maggle, I would say maybe do some King Crimson reviews, but Fripp is going after Darren Lock. You hit the nail right on the head. That is partly what inspired me to go live today, to be honest. I wanted to wait for a few more viewers to get in, but we got 3, so I suppose we can get some sort of dialogue going here. That's partially why I have stayed away from the King Crimson reviews, to be honest, is because I've been a little bit paranoid. You know, what if I say the wrong thing? You know, what if and then my channel gets all messed up, or you know, whatever it is. I've always been cautious about doing Crimson, as much as I love it. I mean, they are my favorite band. You know, my holy trifecta of bands would probably be King Crimson, Frank Zappa, and Vandergraaf Generator. So yeah, I haven't really done any Zappa, but again, that's another very large discography, so that would be a bit of a challenge to do all that. But it's hard to say if I'm going to do King Crimson videos. I mean, I'm still a huge fan of the band, but like what you said there with DGM going after Darren Lock, it's really bumming me out. Let's be honest. Jazz Suko, hey Brad, long time no see. Hello, Jazz. It's been far too long. Thank you for tuning in. I'm glad you're here. And yes, be careful with KC. See, I don't think I really want to talk about it. As much as I love the band, it is, you know, I'm sure I would be. Well, I'm a big fan of the Wenton King, as well, as I'm sure most of my viewers also watch Wenton. And they've never gotten any strikes about it. And Kevin's already covered pretty well the entire King Crimson collection, and his encyclopedic knowledge is a lot better than mine, to be honest. So, yes. Let me some Crimson. One album people love, which I don't get the love for, is Power to Believe. Honestly, Power to Believe is probably, as far as the studio albums go, I'll be totally honest, it might be my favorite one. See, look, I'm talking about King Crimson. I'm going to get in trouble. Oh, my God. But no, Power to Believe is probably my favorite album. And that's why I brought up the Wenton King, is they probably didn't get in trouble because they're just, you know, everything is very positive. And if I were to talk about Crimson, I'd be very positive as well. But it doesn't make what happened to Darren Lock right. And I'm personally quite disappointed in DGM for going after him like that. That's not a very nice thing to do. But yeah, I'm rambling totally incoherently now, as I usually do. Yeah, Power to Believe is actually one of my favorite albums. As far as the studio stuff goes, I mean, studio albums, let's see, it's probably, for me, it's Lark's Tongues, Discipline, and Power to Believe. That's kind of my top 3 Crimson. I actually recently just picked up the Epitaph box set, so I've been able to hear some half-decent live 69 Crimson, which has been really nice. And this Darren Lock business is really souring me, and I almost feel guilty for like throwing it on so soon after all this drama has gone down. And, you know, what ticks me off about DGM going after people like this is that it makes it, you know, it puts fans in an awkward position, right? Because we love the band and we'd love to talk about the band and, you know, have a healthy discourse going on, but it feels like we're, you know, we're all too paranoid to talk about it because we're going to say the wrong thing and we're going to tick somebody off. And yeah, we'll get more into that in a little bit. What's Zen Master 6 saying? I'm not gonna get that political, not live on the air. I try not to talk politics, to be honest. It's too treacherous. It's a treacherous thing in this day and age to bring that stuff up. Krautrock albums. Yeah, I definitely I like there's a lot of German bands that I'm a big fan of. I had a big Triumvirate phase not too long ago. I was going through some Triumvirate. They're really cool. Tangerine Dream, I got a few of their albums. Not as knowledgeable about it as certain other things, but I definitely enjoy it. No, Frib, don't hurt me, I have a family. It's so true. You know, it's they legitimately, it was an attack on Locke and his family, right? I'll get into more detail in a bit. Zen Master 6 is dead. That's a shame. Sorry about that. What else we got? Yeah. Just saw a few of my Jethro Tull videos, huh? That's Kruger is God says that. Yeah, Tull was one of the first discographies that I tackled, and obviously kind of one of my favorite bands, as I'm sure you know. I had a good Tull phase over the summer, threw on a few of their records. Got my Under Wraps on. I'm sure everyone finds it controversial. That's one of my favorite Tull albums. It shouldn't be, but it's association. It takes you to a good time in my life. I remember really digging songs like Lap of Luxury and Saboteurs. I don't know. It's got to be one of Ian Anderson's greatest tunes of the '80s, in my opinion. Any interest in progressive metal or metal of any sort? Yeah, I have a fixin' for metal. I was getting all excited when Tool released the Fear Inoculum album. I was like, oh, I got to talk about Tool on the channel. And then I get all OCD. I already know my Peter Hamill videos are kind of in disarray. And Tool wouldn't be that hard for me to do, really. Just I don't think I would do. I wouldn't do the first EP. I'd go Undertow, Anima, Lateralis, 10,000 Days, and then Fear Inoculum. For your interest, talking about Tool, my favorite Tool album is Lateralis. A lot of folks like 10,000 Days. To me, Lateralis is the one. What are any other metal that I like? I mean, people call Dream Theater metal, but it's too melodic. It's got heavy guitars and whatnot, but the melodies are very not metally, in my opinion. With Dream Theater, it's one of those bands where I find them a little cheesy at times, but that's part of their charm. Seen them live, great band to see live. I saw them on the Black Clouds and Silver Linings tour, so I was very fortunate that I was able to see Dream Theater with Portnoy, which obviously is a good thing. No disrespect to Mike Mangini. I quite enjoyed Dream Theater's last album, The Distance Over Time. Was probably the best thing they did since Portnoy left. One album that I never got from Dream Theater was The Astonishing, because everyone thought it was just too ridiculous, and that's fair enough. So I kind of avoided that one. Well, of course I had my Metallica phase growing up. It's another metal band that I kind of get into. I suppose if Mr. Bungle could be considered metal, maybe the first album has got metal elements to it, the self-titled Mr. Bungle. What else? Just looking over here at my record collection. Not a huge amount. I mean, is Dio considered metal? Maybe back in the '80s he was. Not by today's standards. Just barely getting into that. Oh, Kruger's got. Is that? Are you talking barely getting into my videos or just Jethro Tull generally? Not sure. Weird one. Queen's first albums. Queen is interestingly a band that I've never had a huge desire to go out and collect everything. Last year when the movie Bohemian Rhapsody came out, there was about 2 or 3 months where I was like, oh, I got to get them all. And then I got distracted. And then, you know how it is. But it's weird. I mean, got immense respect for Queen. I mean, heck, you cannot deny Freddie Mercury is one of the most astonishing vocalists that have ever lived. Let's be honest. He's a brilliant singer, and Brian May is a great guitar player. Lots of great tunes, but one of those things where sometimes it just gets oversaturated. You hear a bit too much about it. Do I like Zool as a genre? Absolutely, yes. I got into Magma just over a year ago, and I was thinking about reviewing their albums, but it's just so damn hard. And for one thing, I don't have the entire collection. So as far as Magma goes, I've got MDK, of course. It's the one I started with. That's brilliant. Oh geez. The names they're falling out of my head, but I have the whole trilogy. Theos Hamtak. What's the third one or the middle one? What's the middle one? The one that was released after MDK, but in the sequence of the trilogy, it's the second one. I'll be right back. This is bothering me. In the meantime, you can check evening, and I'm being lazy. You can't really tell. This is actually a magazine rack right here that I have, and so all my vinyl. So hey, I was mentioning Vandergraaf. There we got some grounding and numbers right there at the front. Anyway, my Magma's down here. Verda Ita, that's the one. Kontarkos, of course, is a brilliant album. The one that came out. It was like oh gosh, I'm gonna go back. Watch this. Here we go. Better angle. You can see my my vinyl rack. some Zappa, Mr. Bungle, Jaco Pastorius. This one might be a surprise. Wall of Voodoo. Gotta get your cheesy 80s pop in there sometimes. So yeah, anyway, let's bring this down to the bottom level where my magma rests. I got Verda Ita, Kuntarkos, Live, Udu Udu. Very cool. Attack, I'm not a big fan of that album. Oh, Kuntarkos Ra, that's the one. That's a brilliant album as well. So yeah, I like Zool. I'm hip with the Zool music for sure. Say hi to Bob. Bob Ross is painting himself a galaxy for all of us. I'm sure you saw my lark's tongues there when I brought the computer over to the vinyl rack. Sorry, this is probably terrible entertainment. I'm rambling and I'm standing and I'm moving here and there. Blah 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 blah. Anyway, let's go back to these comments here. Dio is definitely metal. I'm glad we've come to that consensus. Voivod, really good band. I've heard a few songs. Again, I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge by any means, but it's all good. Oh yeah, the Gentle Giant and Jethro Tull reviews. That's how you found my channel. Thank you. Yeah, the Gentle Giant was a really early one too. I did those ones nice and quick because I figured, it's a fairly short catalog. One of my favorite bands, certainly fits the prog category for sure. For whatever reason, I haven't listened to Gentle Giant in a very, very long time, which is a shame because they're a phenomenal band. Hard to choose between Anima and Lateralis. Yeah, for me, Lateralis still has a bit of an edge on Anima. I like the heavy songs on Anima. That's a heavier album. Between Undertow and Anima, those are both quite metal type albums. But I'm a big fan of Hooker with a Penis. That's a great tune on Anima. Obviously, the title track, Third Eye, is really really cool. But Lateralis to me is just it's one of those perfect albums. All the way through, you get the very end, you get the disposition, like the whole triad sequence, the real long track that's broken into 3 parts. The title track, Lateralis, is absolutely brilliant. I love that song. You can really hear the Rush influence in Tool, I think, when you listen to Lateralis. You get Schism on there, Parabole and Parabola. That's a great little sequence. Yeah, that's the one. The Grudge, of course, great opener. Yeah, Lateralis it's where it's at. I find, and it's funny, I think a lot of the prog heads they do go for 10,000 Days, which has arguably got a little more texture to the sound. It's a bit more tonally. There's some more variety going on, I think. But yes, it doesn't quite do it for me. The newest Tool album I've listened to maybe the whole thing through maybe 7 or 8 times. And I think it's really good. I think it's a solid effort. I think I might like it more than 10,000 Days, but it still doesn't quite hit Lateralis for me. Dio is definitely metal. Yes, I was right. With a band called The Verve. I know The Verve. Obviously, their famous song that they got in trouble for, Bittersweet Symphony. And they took the orchestral version of The Last Time by the Rolling Stones. I absolutely love that song. When my fiance, soon-to-be wife, in a week and a half, when we were in Europe, we did a big backpacking adventure through Europe. And I always had this great memory when we were in Florence. We just had like a date night, went to a cool pizzeria, found some dessert. We were at this little gelato place, and Bittersweet Symphony by The Verve came on, and every time I hear that song, it takes me right back to Florence. Beautiful track. Really, really good stuff. My thoughts on Darren Lock. Well, this is going to be a big conversation, to be honest, and I'm glad I brought a beverage with me because I just got back from work and I'm feeling like a beverage, so I'm going to have some Bose Lugtread Milk Stout. It's very tasty. So yes, Darren Lock. He was one of the guys actually that inspired me to start doing some of these videos in the first place, to be honest. I was always a big fan of Kevin Sam from Court of the Wenting King. But I got into Darren Lock as well. And really, those are the only two review channels that I got really, really into. And I was more of a Wenton fan than Darren Lock, but his the thing with Darren Lock, he's very direct, and he has every right to be. And you may not always agree with what he says, but that's fine. That's just a part of life. If he doesn't like an album that you really like, well, that doesn't mean you should like it any less. That's just his perception of it, right? But the thing that bummed me out so much with regards to the Darren Lock situation, I know there's a huge big story that's going on right now, and I guess it goes way back. And there was a comment that was made on a forum that was a bit insensitive, which he has since apologized multiple times for. And this whole DGM thing, I feel they've just gone too far to put Darren Lock in a situation where either he deletes his entire account, which, I mean, as far as online reviewers go, nobody worked harder than Darren Lock. The amount of videos that guy would put out, just incredible. I mean, he was a really, really hardworking guy, and he was not working, so I mean, it was a genuine source of income for him. And for DGM to go after him like that and put him in that situation where he either has to delete his account or it's gonna mess things up for his son, like that, it just seems really, really shady. I don't like it, and it's as a huge King Crimson fan, I'm heartbroken by it. I hate to see a company that I used to hold in such high regard, DGM, doing stuff to people that is just, to me, so unnecessary. I mean, and in his own words, I mean, he's just getting bullied. He's absolutely getting bullied. And a lot of the policy with DGM, I've always accepted. Crimson has always been famous for holding their fans to a high standard. And a lot of it I get. No photography at the concerts, I respect that. It's a distraction for the performers and it's a distraction for the audience. If I pay good money to go see a show, the last thing I need is to watch it through somebody's damn phone, right? So no cameras, totally get that, absolutely. And they fight very, very aggressively to maintain the artist's right to their work. Absolutely, that's really, really cool. But you cannot, if you're going to release anything to the public, you can't control public perception to that degree. You know what I mean? And it seems to be, if Darren Lock goes on and it says something about an album, I'm not going to say anything specifically, just for sake of argument, album A, and he says, I don't like this album for the following reasons. You can't censor that because you disagree with it. You know what I mean? Like, he has absolutely every right to, speak his mind, and it's fair use policy. There was never any copyright issues when it came to Lock. They just slammed him. That's the full story. Is I guess he started posting more King Crimson videos because he stopped a few years ago because I guess there was cease and desist and blah 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 blah, which is weird because a lot of people review King Crimson. And again, it all goes back with this long, complicated backstory, which I personally don't know enough about to comment on. But oh god, I've lost my train of thought here. Oh, when Darren Lock first stopped posting King Crimson videos and everything was okay. Well, we get to 2019 and it's the 50th anniversary, and there's all kinds of really cool stuff being released. It's a big celebration of all things Crimson. It's a real happy time for all the fans, and being a big King Crimson fan, as Darren Lock was. I mean, I'm sure he doesn't have many good things to say about them now, and I don't blame him for it. Amidst all this celebration, as soon as he started posting a few videos, they absolutely slammed the guy and put him in a position where if he didn't delete his account, they were or delete his YouTube channel, and they would have deleted his whole Google account. And his kid was linked to that, and it's so shady. And for a company that prides itself on its ethics, I just really don't agree with this. You can't control people's opinion. You can't, someone says something that you don't like, that doesn't mean that you have the right to shut them down and, attempt to sabotage their life. And that's kind of what it seems what happened, especially considering the fact that, Darren Lock's YouTube channel was a genuine source of income for his family. So to sabotage that, it almost seems like you're deliberately trying to ruin the guy. You know what I mean? And it's just not right. And you could argue, oh, well, he's profiting over, making comments about King Crimson. He doesn't own the rights to that music. Well, that's baloney. When you compare the respective income that DGM makes to what he makes on YouTube, I mean, is he really that much of a threat? I don't think so. I mean, I think DGM owes him a public apology for one thing, and they should just, not bully people and just leave the guy alone, It's been really bumming me out. I'll be honest. All week, it's just been in the back of my mind as I recently got a whole bunch of cool Crimson stuff from DGM. I've got Sid Smith's book coming. It's in the mail. I'm really excited to read that. But it's like amidst all this excitement, why does there have to be this big, ugly stain right in the middle of it, Like, at what point do you just say, you know what, we're sorry. We don't need to harass you like this. But I don't know. Watch my channel get taken down. I've never done one formal King Crimson video, but talking about this stuff makes you scared. They're gonna come after me. My channel's too small. I don't think don't have any influence there. But yeah, that's kind of where I stand with the Darren Lock thing. I think they've severely mistreated him, and if it really goes back to this comment that was made back in 2003, it's nearly 2 decades ago. Well, people make mistakes, and sounds like to me he's certainly tried to rectify the situation, but they've had a bounty on his head, and if they're all snickering there, oh, ha ha ha, we finally took down Darren Lock. Well, it looks worse on DGM than it does him, and he may be an abrasive reviewer, quote unquote abrasive. I made a comment on the Wentons video a couple of days ago, and I called him the grumpy reviewer. It's easy. He can be a little bit grumpy, but that's his style. He's entitled to it, and he's a funny guy. I mean, he seems like a genuinely nice person. He's got an edge, but I think he seems like a nice guy. He's looking out for his family, and just because he said a few things, on YouTube that you may not like, it's no reason to try and shut him down. It's just such an overreaction. It doesn't look good on DGM. Anyway, let's move on. Oh, Stormwatch 40th anniversary thing is awesome. I do not have the Stormwatch one. I only have 3 of the Jethro Tull box sets. I've got A Passion Play, War Child, and Minstrel in the Gallery. The only one I'm missing is the Thick as a Brick one, obviously, but the prices are just way too high up on Amazon. So I do have the Steven Wilson remaster as a single CD, but yeah, those are the only fancy 40th anniversary boxes that I have, but they're expensive. They're expensive boxes, but they're really good. I love all like the booklets are fantastic. I love all the information, and there's lots of good stories, and Steven Wilson's done a fantastic job of remastering that Tull. I mean, Tull for me is at least of the original masters, on the vinyl, it's very muddy, and I tend to be a vinyl guy more than a CD guy, just personal preference. But yeah, anytime I throw on Tull, if I have Steven Wilson on a digital format, I'll go with that before the vinyl. So yes, what do we got? Yeah, Nagel, I agree. It's sad that he got struck down by Fripp. It's not fair. Leave him alone. He's just a guy. The middle one is WY Voda Ita. Yeah, down for the time being. I remember. Well, that's the other thing I wanted to say. So I know I've got a grand total of 6 viewers right now. Thanks, guys. I'm glad you're watching. But talking about all this Darren Lock stuff, go support the guy. He's got a new channel. He's re-uploading all the stuff that was on his previous channel that he spent 13 years building for himself, and he's re-uploading all those videos. So I did it. Send him a subscribe. It's called Darren Lock's Prog Review is the full title. So I would totally recommend give him some support, hit that subscribe button, help him get back to where he was. Just getting into Jacko recently. Yeah, good stuff. You know what? You can't go if you're into jazz. Jacko Pastorius. I mean, he's brilliant. He's a genius bass player. I only have the one album there, actually, the his self-titled debut album. It's got some great stuff. There's one song, my favorite piece on it. I don't know how to pronounce it. Aconcole White Trompa, something like that. I probably didn't pronounce it right, but it's just this repeated little like bass line figure with lots of cool harmonics, and there's some tablet style drums going on, which is really cool, and really cool melody played on the trumpet on top. It's great piece. Jazzuko, Mexican radio. Yes. So you did know the wall of voodoo there. I said some folks may find that surprising. I'm a prog head first and foremost, but I like everything. I've got a soft spot for eccentric 80s weird stuff. Probably stems from the Talking Heads. Talking Heads, not the Talking Heads. I should know better than to say something silly like that. But yeah, no, Wall of Voodoo, they're a cool band. What is the weakest Crimson album? That's a good question. For me, in all honesty, it's probably Islands. I'm not a big fan of Islands. There's some great stuff on it. The first side is brilliant. I love Formentera Lady is great. I am a big fan of Sailor's Tale, obviously. That was great to see live when I saw them. I was actually at the Toronto show, the Toronto 2015, the one that was released, the first official live release by the current Crimson Band. I was actually at that show, and if you look very carefully in the liner notes, you'll see me in the bottom right. I was about, I think it was the 7th row, but far. I mean, I was basically right up against Pat Mostellato. But yeah, that was a great show. So Sailor's Tale was on that. I like the Letters, although I like Drop In more. I think the original version of that song. The title track to Islands is not one of my favorites. I mean, it's great live. They played it live second time I saw them, and it was real nice. And the third time, actually. They played it at the Budweiser stage as well. But I prefer stuff like Moonchild to Islands, personally. The one song that really brings Islands down for me is the prelude, Song of the Gulls, the orchestral one. It's a pretty piece of music, but I'd argue what's King Crimson about that? There's nothing crimson-y about it. Ladies of the Road is good. It's still a good album. I'll still throw it on now and again, but it's not one of my favorites. I like Lizard more, to be honest. That might be. I feel it's a yin and yang thing. People that like Lizard don't really like Islands as much, and people that like Islands may not like Lizard as much. I like Lizard because it's just bonkers. It's just a crazy album. What's my favorite Magma song? What comes to my mind first? Probably MDK. I mean, that's probably the cheesiest answer. Although K.A. Kontarkos Ra, the one that was released more recently, that one is really, really, really good. And Kontarkos is very, very good as well. Definitely prefer the live version of Kontarkos, the one off Magma Live. That's I like the ending. I like the ending of the live version of Kontarkos, where it speeds up and it just gets like ridiculously intense. That's my favorite version. Studio version's okay, but it goes back into that theme that closes off the second set of the album, which I suppose you could argue makes it more continual. It's more of a continuous experience there, but no, I like it when it just blows the roof of your head off at the very end. That's my favorite bit of Kontarkos, the end of the live version. Oh yes, Kruger's got Those Are Mine. That is my vinyl collection in an old magazine rack that I got for free, but it took me like 8 hours to get it into my basement, to cut it apart, to fit it all in here, and then reassemble it. It was kind of a nightmare, but well worth it in the end. Because it's nice to have all my vinyl on display. Canterbury scene bands. I'm admittedly not as familiar with what counts as Canterbury. Obviously, Soft Machine is a big one, but I'm not too familiar with Soft Machine, to be honest. I've heard it described. It's kind of like prog rock, but it's more like progressive jazz rock. I mean, prog rock had jazz and rock elements, but you could argue, I suppose, the Canterbury scene had more jazz than rock. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, no, it's nothing from the Canterbury scene has ever really jumped out at me, and hopefully that'll change some point down the road. I have not heard Amandul 2. I don't believe I have. Have to check that one out. My Magma collection is still too small, so there is going to be some additions brought into that, of course. Excuse me. For the band Aphrodite's Child, I know the name, don't know the music as well, unfortunately. Any thoughts on Mastodon? Not in particular. I know they're very heavy. I've heard a couple of tracks, ludicrously complex, which is lots of fun. But with a lot of metal bands, you got to be in that metal mood to kind of like open my mind enough to like really get into it, so I can, get all those details into my brain. Again, one day, if I'm in the right mood and I decide I'm going to try to listen to Mastodon, they could be an obsession of mine. Who knows? Pierre says hello to everyone. Wow, that's good. That's a very community-oriented comment. I like it. I like the community stuff. Let's talk about prog. I don't know. Darren was sometimes a prick with people who visit his channel. I suppose that's true to a certain extent. But what's nice about YouTube is if you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. That's cool. Soft Machine albums, Robert Wyatt. Again, I've heard bits and pieces. I've always wanted to get into Robert Wyatt. I know he's very, very well respected member of the prog world. But yeah, again, I have not heard enough to make a genuine comment. My Bloody Valentine. Sorry, not a big fan. Oh, geez, Kruger's got blocked you for saying his singing was like Gordon Haskell. Well, he would, wouldn't he? I suppose it depends on his mood. I suppose in a way you could say it's a taste of his own medicine to get blocked like that. But again, it's not, I'm still on the side of just leave the poor guy alone. If you don't like his videos, just other people do. That is quite funny for saying he sounded like Gordon Haskell. Haskell, is it the laugh? The end of Lizard? So that's if we're all gonna have a chat about Darren. I've got nothing against Darren Lock. I do think he's a decent guy. A bit abrasive, but he's a decent guy. But one thing that I always found, let's say, irksome about his channel, and it's just he's a British guy, and he's got a natural inclination towards European music. But I always thought with Darren, it's like, any band that just happens to be from the States or not main Europe, he seems to have no interest in. The one exception was Talking Heads, which is interesting, and I suppose they've got more of a world music influence, particularly around the 80s when they started getting a lot of the Afrobeat guys involved. I've lost my train of thought again. That always happens. Oh yeah, Darren's not liking bands that aren't European. I think that was his big gripe with Zappa as well. I know he's not a Zappa fan, and that's fine. You don't have to like everything, but God, you gotta respect Frank Zappa, even if you don't like the music. The just the sheer volume of work that the man did, and the sophistication of his compositions. You don't need to be a fan of his work to realize, he was a smart freaking guy. He knew what he was doing, and I believe Zappa will ultimately be remembered as one of the great composers of the 20th century. He's like a 20th century Da Vinci, in my personal opinion. Maybe I'm aggrandizing the guy a bit too much. I don't think so. But the work that he did with film, and he was a true Renaissance man, I think, Mr. Zappa. But I've always disagreed with Darren about that. He's always been like very anti-Zappa. I'm very pro-Zappa. But again, it's all opinions, and we're all entitled to our opinion. And I don't think if you don't like someone's opinion, you should not, that whole mentality that, I don't like what you said, so therefore I want to make sure that nobody could possibly hear what you have to say. It's like that ultra super PC mentality, like something on a TV show you don't like, so then you do everything you can to make sure that nobody gets a chance to see that TV show. It's just ridiculous. It's a ridiculous mentality. Pat Metheny, first album, yeah. I like some Pat Metheny now and again. I can. That's another band that I should get into, but unfortunately, I haven't come across them just yet. Henry Cow's albums and style. Oh, hello. My wife to be just came home, so I'm just saying hi to her. I'll wrap the chat up here in a little bit. See if I can get to the end of me comments here. She's laughing at me and my nerdery. That's fine. I'm a nerd. But yeah, Henry Cow, yeah, I'm definitely a big fan. Very hard to track down their albums. I mean, I know I could just order stuff online, through Amazon or whatever. But the one Henry Cow album that I do own, again, I found on that backpacking through Europe adventure that my fiance and I did a few years ago. It was a record store in Belgium had In Praise of Learning. And I know it's a combo album. It's half Henry Cow, half that escapes me at the moment. But I really, really like it. It's dissonant, it's scary, it's disjointed, just my style. So yeah, Henry Cow is super cool. I got to get more of their albums though. I need more. Recently became a big Jethro Tull period. I'm so glad I accidentally fell in your chat videos about their albums. I've seen almost all of them. They're really great. Well, thank you very much, Pierre. I appreciate that. Universe Zero Records. That's another band that I have been really trying to track down. Very difficult to find. It's funny, I just mentioned I got an album in Belgium. I think when I was in Belgium, I wasn't familiar with Universe Zero, so I didn't think to look for it. But I've heard a few things online, and it sounds amazing. It sounds like really, really good stuff. So yeah, if anyone knows where to find some Universe Zero, send them my way, because I would like to add them to my collection for sure. Do I know a De Futura song from Magma from Udu Voodoo? Of course I know De Futura. Very good song. I love that piece. I suppose you could argue it might be a bit too long, but it's just that perfect, scary, crazy sci-fi music. It's so good. I really like that big part towards the end, like the long fade out, that boom, doom, 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 doom. Doom, 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 doom. That's just a great bit. It's so sci-fi. It's so sci-fi. De Futura is a great piece. What is my favorite King Crimson song? That's next to impossible. I won't be able to answer that. Jeez. Lark's One is obviously a big one. Wouldn't be anything from the first four albums, I don't think. I mean, obviously I like Schizoid Man. I prefer Pictures of a City to Schizoid Man. I don't think it'd be anything from the first four albums. I think I probably like Lark's Tongues 1 more than Part 2 or 3 or 4. Lark's 4 is really good. I really like The World's My Oyster Soup Kitchen Floor Wax Museum. That's just a bonkers song. I love that one. Yeah, that's just an impossible question. I couldn't tell you my favorite Casey song. Sorry. Thoughts on Lawrence Welk? I don't have any. I don't know. I'm sorry, unfortunately. 10 years after Alvin Lee, of course. Yeah, great stuff. Great groovy stuff. Zappa is a genre of his own. FFS, that is very true. Very, very true. Sun Ra and Zappa are very greatest 20th century composers in your opinion? Yes, that's very true. Good point, Mr. Harold Diaz. Ah, yes, thank you. Thank you for the congrats on the wedding. It's a week and a half away. I don't know what I'm doing. My mind is exploding. It's going to be a big day. We got 50-odd people all making their way down to Vegas. And we're going to have a party. So it's going to be super cool. Thank you for the congratulations. Much appreciated. And then when I finally do start to get to doing videos on here regularly, I'll have a ring. Just like Sam from the Wenton King. I don't know if there's any Wenton King followers here. Have you noticed how Sam's always twiddling with his ring now in his videos? Quite funny. Hot Rats by Zappa is a definitive. Rio album, Rock in Opposition. Yeah, probably. It's all those extreme, over-the-top, avant-garde bands. I don't know if Hot Rat. I mean, I've always considered Hot Rats to be an early fusion album more than anything. It's a great jam album. you can't go wrong with Hot Rats. Every song on that is fantastic. You know, Peaches on Regalia is amazing. Willie the Pimp is classic Zappa. It was one of those classic Zappa riffs. Son of Mr. Green Jeans, one of my favorite Zappa melodies. I love the Green Jeans melody. One song that I find very underrated from Hot Rats got to be Little Umbrellas with that stand-up bass. That's a great tune. Actually, if there's one song I'm not as big a fan of is Gumbo Variations. It's all solos. It's great, but it might be a bit too long. And of course, It Must Be a Camel is a weird sort of classical type composition. Hot Rats is great. About a month ago, we went to see Dweezil Zappa, and he actually performed all of Hot Rats, and it was a fantastic show. You know, I didn't know what to expect because the original Hot Rats is so jammy, right? I wasn't sure. I was always they're probably gonna play the themes and then, you know, go through some solo, you know, their own solos. But Dweezil more or less learned all of Frank's guitar solos from Hot Rats pretty well note for note. I was, you know, massively impressed. It was real great to hear all those guitar solos recreated in a live setting. And then the second half of the show was great too. Lots of kind of obscure 80s Zappa stuff, which is nice. We saw Dweezil last year as well, and he played Drowning Witch, which is one of my favorite Zappa compositions. Drowning Witch it's a scary piece of music. It's crazy how people were able to play that. Thoughts on Darren Lock's thoughts on prog? His view seems narrow. Well, you know, he's just opinionated. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, he knows what he likes and he knows what he doesn't like, and that's fair enough. It doesn't mean that, you know, that Darren Lock should be the arbiter of tastes. You know, I think people, myself included, there's been times where I've watched videos and I'm just like, no, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. But that's not the case. You know, we're all entitled to our own opinions, and you know. Sometimes I would say, you know, Darren Lock's views on prog are very much Eurocentric. There was a video that he did, one video of Darren's that I disagreed with, where his definition of prog rock. I did wasn't really a response video because it was like years after he did his video, but I did my own. What is progressive rock? What is the deal with progressive rock? And that's kind of my take on it, which, you know, it certainly started in England, and it was very much, you know, it's a European thing at heart, but of course it went international. Like everything goes international. You know, jazz is, you know, you can't get any more American than jazz, but you know, jazz is an international sport now, right? You know, you go into Bill Bruford and Bill Bruford's Earthworks, you know, very European melodies, but it's definitely jazz. So yeah, if there's one vital difference between Darren Lock's views on prog and my views on prog is that I think it's an international game and he thinks it's a European game, and that's cool. You know what? You know, we're both right. That's fine. That's fine. I'm not gonna ruin anybody's day because of a difference of opinion. What music am I playing up there? I don't have any music on right now. I don't think, unless I've gone deaf. Too many snare drums. No idea. One artist that I've been really into lately, actually, is not really prog, but I'm super into Fela Kuti. Really into the Afrobeat music. It's so funky. It's not very proggy. It's, you know, very much a funky thing. But I suppose, again, going back to like the idea of prog being exclusively European or exclusively British, the whole idea of prog is that you're going to take all these disparate elements and put them into one, right? So you're going to get some rock, you're going to get some classical, you're going to get some jazz, you're going to put it all into one big old melting pot. And that's kind of what Afrobeat is to Africa. Now, Africa's obviously a big continent, right? But, you know, Fela Kuti, what he was doing, he was bringing in some funk elements, some like fusion elements, some jazz, you know, laying it down with like, you know, a groovy, heavy beat. So, I mean, is Afrobeat African prog? Is that a thing? I don't know. But yeah, that's what's been ringing in my ears lately. I've got a lot of cool Fela Kuti records going on, and yeah, it's good angry music too. You know, obviously there's a big political side to what Fela Kuti was doing, and even though the melodies are very chirpy and you know happy, like some of those horn sections in Kuti's music, it's just the tone of the horns and the aggression with which they're played. It's definitely heavy stuff, heavy, angry stuff. That's good stuff. Sunrun, not familiar. Residents, I like the Residents. I don't know. Again, I don't have a huge collection of them, but I was introduced to the Residents through Primus, actually, because they did a cover of Here I Come Constantinople. That was kind of my introduction to the Residents, and yeah, good and bizarre. Very much fits that avant-garde, scary stuff, which is cool. Oh, let me just scroll up here. But if your taste, Brad, if your taste is of music is really variable, I really recommend you check out A Storm in Heaven by Verve. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. I can't promise I'll post a video up on it. Like I said, I've with everything that's going on in my life, it's not very easy for me to get into a regular thing with videos, and I really do want to get my Peter Hamill chats finally finished, which is taking me far too long. But I mean, in the new year, I'm hoping to be able to get back into a semi-regular thing going, but I don't think I'll be able to do too much. So try not to get too excited. I'm sorry. I know I've set up expectation, and people watch my videos and they really like it, and I'm humbled and honored that people do. But it's just hard to keep up. It's hard to keep it on the regular. But I'm hoping I'll be able to in the future. But A Storm in Heaven, I'll remember that by the Verve. Ash Raw Tempel, not familiar. Sorry. Sam and Kev are great. Yes, they are. I'm a big fan of Kev and Sam. Yeah, Wenton King is they're a solid channel, and they obviously posted a video talking about the DGM versus Darren Lock, and I hope they don't get hit now too. I mean, if they got hit, then we as fans should fight the power. That's what they said, but it'll be like this chain of events. Like the smaller channels will all start, because Darren was one of the bigger channels. If he gets shut down, and then Wenton's a little smaller than Darren's channel, if they get shut down, and then if they go after me, then that's when I really fight the power. But let's hope that doesn't happen. Trap is prog? Yeah, sure. That's one thing that Kevin and Sam always say that's actually quite true is, if you're a prog head, anything that you like is automatically prog. I was just saying, oh, Afrobeat, is that African prog? Of course it isn't, but I like it, so it must be prog. Yes. Yeah, that is where Santana picked up his groove, very much from that whole scene. I will check out Sun Ra. I'm going to do it. Absolutely going to do it. 100% in prog category. That's cool. Well, anyway, made it to the end of my comments. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. I really appreciate that. Again, I'm amazed that I had a few folks come in to hang out with me. That's really, really nice. Oh, thank you. Style is not as hard-hitting or divisive. I've always tried to be that way. I've always tried to be the nice guy prog reviewer. But then that's not always a good review either if you just say everything is really good. I find sometimes some of the reviews I've done or chats that I've done, I'm probably too soft, and I always give the benefit of the doubt. But again, I'm here to celebrate this music. I don't consider myself a proper reviewer. I just chat about stuff that I like. Cream, I like. If it's the Cream I'm thinking about, the famous Cream with Clapton, Jack Bruce, and the recently departed Ginger Baker. Of course, I like Cream. I got some good tunes. Embryo, aside from Zappa or Black Sabbath's intro to Children of the Grave, I can't say I'm familiar. But anyway, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. Much appreciated. I know he's a divisive character, but I feel as a human of this earth, it's decent. And go support there and just give a subscribe on his channel, unless you're going to be nasty to him. I just feel bad what happened to him. It's not fair. It's not fair. But I also don't want DGM to be pissed off at me because I still got my Sid Smith book coming, and as sour as it tastes as all this leaves in my mouth, I don't know if I'll be able to boycott it because there's still so much stuff that I'd like to get, but it's just this really awkward situation. I want to buy more stuff from DGM, but I also like to look them in the eye and say, don't be so mean. Don't bully people. It's not nice. Anyway, thanks again, everybody. We will talk to you soon. I'll try and do some more live chats. I'll try and get back into the swing of live chatting. It's easier than kind of planning out all these videos. So in the meantime, before I get into finishing off the Peter Hamill videos or maybe starting some other videos, I'll try to get some live chats going on. So that'll be cool. So thanks again, everybody. You will see me in the future. It may not be the near future or distant future. I don't know, some point or another, but possibly the next time you see me, I'll have a wedding band on my finger. So that'll be cool. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you later. Oh, am I sure you want to? No, I won't see you later. You'll see me later. Bye-bye.